Hi everyone. I just want to show you this about a guy who tried to saw through a woman's neck. So this guy, this was July 29th, and it just seems like there's a move on to engage people's minds with the whole decapitation and cutting people's necks with paring knives, things that take a long time, and horrific things like hand saws. So this guy here, this is July 29th in Oklahoma City. He tied up a woman, put a tarp down, and then tried to saw through her neck with a handsaw. His name is Curtis Charles Jennings. So while I was looking for this, actually what I was looking for is I was going to the other one at the Vaughn Foods because I wanted to clarify who shot that guy. Because they were saying he was the COO, Chief Operating Officer, or it was a police deputy. So anyway, I found out they're both the same, so it wasn't really clear. But then I came across this. So notice this. Police have identified the subject, Curtis Charles Jennings, using a handsaw on this woman's neck, July 29th. But then, just want to show you this. Look who invented the handsaw. A guy named Charles Jennings. Don't you think that's strange? A coincidence like that, okay? Handsaw makers of North America, Charles E. Jennings. And this other guy over here, his name is Curtis Charles Jennings. I think that's kind of odd. So, something else is if you go to this. Okay, this is the recent one, right? The only thing I can find in this little photo deal here is a lot of chemtrails. Lots. These photos are so ridiculous. Same pictures. No people. Hardly anything. But as you can see, there are lots of chemtrails. So you may not know if this is real or not. This whole scenario scaring you about decapitations. But if you go outside and you look at your sky, you're going to see chemtrails, and those are real. That's something, and those seem to be doing something to people's bodies and minds. So back to this guy. The guy who, Charles E. Jennings, who invented the handsaw. And who would kill somebody with a handsaw? He put a tarp down, like to capture the blood or whatever, tied her up, and started to saw away. So, police arrest man in handsaw attack on woman. They did catch him. Let's go to images. But I didn't find any follow-up news on this guy. It was just July 29th. There was one July 30th, but mainly July 29th. Maybe there's some videos. Okay, so, okay, here's one for August 7th. However, it only talks about July 29th. So, the other thing I want to point out is that look at this, with this whole decapitation idea that, of course, there's going to be a lot of copycat decapitations, and it's going to become a trend. And just wait when so-called Islamic State or Muslims who are called on to strike people at their necks, wait till they take over the military base where they have all the guillotines. Yes. Will they really take it over, or is it all a plan? Okay, now I want to show you this. Robots are writing the news. Robots are writing the news more and more. How do we know that programmers aren't asking or using algorithms to create these stories with the people, the names, everything, scenarios to scare people and to promote this agenda? Look, Associated Press will use robots to write articles. Robots are writing your news. The rise of automated journalism. Put down that sword, Optimus Prime, and pick up a pen. More news is being written by robots than you think. That's why sometimes you will look, okay, and this is by Singularity Hub. Automated insights to write AP earnings report. First news report on the LA earthquake was written by a robot. News writing robots. Okay, so how do we know? Robots that learn. Okay, how robots will write earnings stories. Okay, it's just, you know, and remember that this, here we go. Can an algorithm write a better news story than a human? So maybe they're just making these things up. Well, be careful and be wise, and God bless everyone. But think about that. Curtis Charles Jennings used a handsaw to cut a woman's neck. He didn't entirely cut it off, but Charles E. Jennings is the person who invented the handsaw in the first place. That's weird. Very weird. Okay, Charles E. Jennings. I'm just trying to drive this home, okay? Charles E. Jennings invented the handsaw, and Curtis Charles Jennings used a handsaw. Thanks for watching. God bless. And bye for now.